All right, we're live. It's Chris with Drop Dice. We're back again with Burning Wheel RPG. We're going to be playing the campaign Keys to the Kingdom. This is the 4th episode. If you've not watched any of them leading up to this is probably not a great time to jump in because we're kind of at a weird part. But it is a good time for a new player to jump in. So you recognize all these faces, but there is one extra face on here, which is going to be Nate. We'll start with Nate if you want to introduce yourself and who you are playing.
Show them your face. Make them jealous of you.
Good job, Nate. Good introduction.
5 stars.
I'm actually really pissed because he got to the whole, you know, I'm messing my words up.
All right, we'll start with Brendan then. Wait, did Nate unmute himself?
Yes.
All right, Nate, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Nate, and I'm not usually here.
Yeah.
Congrats.
You're also a goblin. There we go.
And now
You may remember me from all those times I wasn't here.
Right?
Nate will be playing a noble that has been turned out from court. He is technically next in line to become king, but he's been secreted away into the Holy Land and has experienced some more jazz. So he's going to come up soon here. For the rest of the characters, you guys have met them several times now. I'm going to skip introductions and stuff, actually, and we're going to jump right into the
Excuse me real quick. I do believe there's one important piece of information that we have to get out of the way.
No, you buy Guns of Icarus online.
And that should be that you should buy Guns of Icarus online. Available now on the Steam store for like 10% off, I think, or something like that.
Don't make me turning this into a belief.
It is going to be believed. Because you know why? We are an alliance. You know what's also an alliance? Guns of Icarus Online Alliance.
Speaking of shilling, if I need to get in the habit of doing this, Drop Dice is getting into publishing on its own. Look for a Kickstarter starting next year for my own setting that you guys have seen built on the channel. The World Stratmere has a section of it called Xiaoyun, which is kind of a mythic Korea, China type setting. I'll be doing a Kickstarter for the index card RPG system featuring that region of the world. Lots of new classes, material, items, things like that to go with your game. So definitely check that out when it comes up. There'll be play tests for the system on the channel. There's already been a couple. Check those out if you have any interest, and give me some feedback inside the comment section as well. All right, guys, let's kind of jump right in here. So
Way to make it serious, Chris.
I know, right?
Jerk face.
Tried so hard.
When last we left off, we were just arrived in Swordbreak Village. I'm going to read the description again just because we've got a new player here, just so that we can remind ourselves too as to where we were. This place has swarms of crows in the air, fat dogs trotting about, and when you guys get close enough, you can see a Jamestown-like massacre with 750 bodies or more. There's poisoned bodies. You can clearly tell by the purple that is underneath their skins. Remain unburied and covered in flies. As you guys investigate the area, this is where Nate's character will actually kind of be around. You guys probably know him just because he is kind of a local to the Abbey. And that is... you know what, Nate, why don't you just tell us who your character is, what he looks like, and all that.
The character's name is Danovan. He's tall, kind of slender, but well-built. You can tell he's been working with his hands for many years at this point. Something of note, though, when engaged socially, he doesn't carry himself like a commoner. He tends to stand up straight, like chest out a little bit, like he looks almost proud. And his mannerisms seem practiced to a degree, but he's very polite. He's he's upfront and generally pretty honest about everything he does. Stark black hair, small, sharp eyes.
And Danovan's been spending the last, 8 years as a farmer in the Holy Land. Your farm would have been not too far from Swordbreak Village, and you've probably done some trading, but stayed relatively away during the war that was happening between Ethabend and Aldhedge. But the war has died down, and you and a few other farmers have gotten interested in what actually happened. So that's why you have arrived in Swordbreak Village. For the rest of the team, you came here to investigate and gather some clues because this was one of the few places that had not been looked over as part of your investigation team. You guys had a meeting with the investigators from Ethabend and Aldhedge. Not much was decided. Well, I should say not much was officially decided. A few things were unofficially decided in side conversations. Looking at Francis.
What happened with
What are you
Francis?
talking about?
Francis may have cut a deal, but that's not public knowledge.
What happened, Francis? No, I'm out of game.
Shame.
It was for your benefit and mine.
Isn't that how all the bad guys say?
Yes. It was for the greater good.
Only the best bet, guys.
So you have decided to investigate. The other two teams are here as well. They're going to start splitting off. One of the investigation teams, the one from Aldhedge, is going to go to the well and begin investigating, which is actually where you guys left off. Francis had actually noticed a flower that he had previously drawn inside the well and realized that this flower happens to be poisonous.
But I also realized that it came, or at least I saw these flowers in the castle up at, oh god, name's escaping me.
It was in Wayhaven with
There we go.
with Duke Simon Leroux.
Yep.
In his garden, or at least around his castle.
Yes. And several of these around his castle. Very suspicious.
So just to give you a reminder as the GM, you said a promise to Lady Therese Peltier from Aldhedge. These flowers are growing in Wayhaven, which is under control of Aldhedge. So do what you want with that knowledge, but keep in mind, if you hide those flowers, you would be doing her a solid.
Right.
Or if you pin the blame on Ethabend one way or another, that would
Right. I'll hide the flower.
Okay. So
You guys can't see what I'm doing right now, but it involves my hand to my forehead.
So I imagine it as like you quickly grab up the flower and like press it into that little sketchbook that you've got. For the rest of you, like I said, I kind of described it. It's pretty much just an atrocity is what you have laid out in front of you. Danavan, you can see your friends from the Abbey standing close to the well, and a group of, let's see, 2 more people that you don't recognize, but you can tell that they seem to be from Ethabend. They've got kind of like a Spanish conquistador look to them. The one that stands out the most is a man that you probably didn't interact with, but you may have some knowledge of who he is. If you would like to give me a noble wise, that's going to tell me how much of you know about this person. Nate, that was for you.
Oh, totally missed that. Sorry. So, how am I navigating this?
So,
The one thing. Sorry, go ahead.
How this works is I'm setting you up so you can get a practice with a skill real quick here.
Yeah.
There is a person that you don't recognize. You can tell he's a noble. He kind of has this like Spanish conquistador kind of look to him.
Mhm.
You can tell he's nobility because the way he holds himself, and he's wearing a sash of office. If you give me a knowledge nobility check, that will tell you a little bit more about him. The way this is done is you go into your character sheet.
Yep.
And then on the page that says stats and skills, which I'm going to move you to right now.
Yep.
You'll have your skills not listed on here. Okay. We'll have to fix that. Let's look at your character burner.
Genius, farmer. Genius.
Let's see. You have noble wise, and you've got a B3 in it. What you can do is roll 3d6. Anything that's higher than a 4 will count as a success. You also have 2 things available to you. They're called Artha. There's 2 different kinds. There's a fate point and a fate point and a persona point. There's a third kind called a deed point, but nobody's earned one just yet. Those are for like truly epic things when those get rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
But how this works is you can spend a fate point to re-roll a failed dice, which is anything less than a 4 right now. Or you can use a persona to add a die to your pool. So right now you have 3 dice to use. If you use a persona, that will take you up to 4. You'll roll your dice, and then you can decide if you want to use a fate point to re-roll any failures. Before you make it roll, I tell you what the target number is. Once I've told you the target number, you cannot back out of the roll. You have to go forward with it. So figuring out who this person is going to be a 1. It's fairly simple. That's for me to tell you stuff. If you want to make up a fact about this person, because Wise's skills can be used for you to add to the world, you can do so, but I'm going to raise the target to 2. So what would you like to do?
I'll just do the normal roll for now. Keep
Okay,
this
so
simple.
you want me to tell you stuff. Cool. So
Yeah.
we're going to say that's a 1.
Okay.
So give me your 3 dice, unless you want to spend some points.
No, I'll leave it as is.
Okay.
Should I had you tell me more stuff?
Cool. So these count as successes. So you have a 3, 6, and 6. Anything above a 4 counts as success. So you have 2 successes right now. So what's going to end up happening is this is the kind of thing that the more successes, I will tell you more information. So you know that his name is Baron Santos, or Baron Velasco Santos. I will share his picture real quick here. This is the guy. You know all the stuff inside there. Basically, he's a crotchety old man that's more annoyed at the loss of his men and his last chance at glory. He grudges the church for their interference, but more importantly, his clericus. He will do anything he can to be short and rude with his own clericus, but he is a highly religious man. That's actually left off here. He respects the church and believes that their judgment will be the final one, and he's not going to fight it. So the clericus is an older man. Clericus is just a fancy word for a priest who can actually perform miracle magics. This is him here. He'll be standing next to Baron Santos. Baron Santos, you know, is from Ethabend. He is one of the larger barons in the region. Your father may have interacted with him, but you probably didn't. Being a prince, you had scholarly things to do. Like, you may have seen him once or twice before. So the chances of him recognizing you is pretty low.
Okay. What exactly is he doing?
He seems to be at the well. He's kind of standing back. Your friends from the Abbey are all kind of investigating around the well. His clericus, he's kind of dictating things to his clericus. The clericus is like going over bodies, seems to be giving prayer over them. And probably the abbot's joining, because that's kind of sounds like the abbot's jam. You're muted if you're talking, Brendan.
No, I'm just... Oh, sorry.
Yep, he had a nice little cry session off to the side, and yeah, all sad and stuff. But yeah, now he's doing just that.
I'll step forward. You said I know that the bodies have been disappearing, right?
Yeah, you're aware that the bodies have been disappearing because you've come here to look for friends, that people that you've traded with in the past.
Mhm.
Now that the war has been kind of died down, I
Yep.
should say.
I'll step over to those offering prayers for the dead. And I sort of like nod and pay respects. If the spirits and the souls of the dead are your concern, then you should pray for those whose bodies aren't here any longer as well.
Do our characters already know each other? I forget if we
you
went
would
over
know
this.
him. He's
Yeah.
been around the Abbey.
He's a farmer in the Abbey area.
He's a farmer, so he's definitely used like your Miller's house and stuff like that inside the Abbey.
And I know we were talking about this before, but do I have anything to do with your circumstances? Like I came here, or do you want to keep that separate?
We'll keep that separate.
Okay. So I don't know about you or any of that stuff. Okay. And so what was that again, Nate, that you said?
Basically,
if
not
you,
respectfully, yeah.
He said if you were going to pray for those that are lost, that you should pray for those that have disappeared as well, basically.
Ansel's going to look somewhat exhausted, look up to you, and sort of remember to smile in greeting. Disappeared? Why are they not all here?
I don't know. I've been looking for signs of any of my friends from the village, and each time I checked, a few more of the bodies are gone.
Going over the bodies here for the rest of you, because you've kind of been looking around the scene, you can see that most of the bodies have been shot with arrows, and it doesn't take like a skilled investigator to figure out that a lot of these bodies have been moved around, dragged from one area to another. Some of the bodies were poisoned and shot with arrows. In fact, a vast majority of the common folk that are dead here, that's the case. And it's for Murdoch, if you'd like to give me a soldier-wise, I can give you a little bit more information about the scene. Or if anybody has anything like, I don't know, forensics-wise or something crazy like that.
I am doing it. I'm just getting to the right part.
CSI Mesa.
So, by the way, I have 4 routine checks. Does that mean that my thing went to 5?
Let me take a look here. Marshall. You mean for soldier-wise?
For Mason, yes.
Oh, sorry, for Mason. Let's see here. No, you also need 2 difficult and 1 challenging.
Ah. Okay.
So there is a way that we can kind of game the system, essentially. You can ask me for a more difficult roll. Chances are you'll probably be less likely to succeed on a more difficult roll, because difficult means like you're about even, like your chance to succeed and fail is like a 50-50. And then challenging is you're most likely going to fail. So if you want to use that to kind of like plan out how you want your rolls, we can do that as well.
So, this doesn't seem like an area where I could add to the lore, so I'm just going to make this be a normal check.
Yeah, you did soldiering, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to...
You do have dog-wise that you're building up. I will allow dog-wise in this scene because there are fat, bloated dogs that have been eating corpses around here, and you could definitely find out some information with them.
Do it.
All right, hold on.
If you want to fork them together, we could even work it that way.
You know you want to do it.
Ignore all that, because that was me trying to figure out why my character sheet was fucked up.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to do dog-wise. I'm going to fork in soldier-wise.
Okay, cool. For a dog-wise check, I think this is a 2. It's not extremely difficult. It's like noticing behavior in the animals. And soldier-wise, I think is a good fork because these are dogs that used to belong to fallen soldiers. They're just out here without their masters. Okay, cool. So the obstacle doubled since it's a thing that you're learning. Go ahead and fill in another bubble underneath dog-wise there.
Yep. Dog-wise.
Looking around, the dogs are acting a little unusual. It could be the fact that so many of them are lost, but this has kind of become like a dog city is the best way to describe what's happening here.
Okay, so they're turning feral.
Yeah, they're forming packs. They're not completely feral, like they stay cautious of you, but they're not like being territorial yet.
Okay.
That's pretty much all you'll get out of their behavior because you'd have to succeed for me to give you more information on that.
I turn to my... Is my squire with us? The lady?
Yeah, Kiva is there.
I turned to...
Kiva actually... Yeah, you do know that Kiva, she's done a lot with dogs and stuff like that. She's a hound hunter.
I look at her and I say, we may have to put these poor beasts down if we can't figure out what to do with them.
Kiva looks around and she kind of takes it in. She nods. You know that that she won't be too excited about the task, but she'll do it.
Whatever ones are more pliable, we can bring back to the Abbey and use as for the guards. Whatever ones are too far gone, you know what needs to be done. And I'm going to walk up to the farmer. Farmer!
Is my lord an appropriate title?
He is a knight. That would be fine.
You also live on my knight's land.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my lord.
Have these dogs possibly been eating the bodies?
Oh, certainly. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason they're all fat.
Interesting. Usually takes dogs a while to get to that point. May I make another dog-wise check and figure out how long it would take a dog to start eating people?
Yeah.
May I fork in soldiering heaven again? Having like seen dogs be displaced?
Yeah, you know about how long it would take a dog on a battlefield.
So what's the base obstacle?
I'm gonna say it's a 1. It's really not that out extreme. So cool. You know, in a situation like this is a town. Most of the food has been destroyed. The dogs are going for what is the easiest around. But they wouldn't go to poison corpses first. That's really unusual. More than likely, these dogs in a normal state would have left. The fact that they're still here eating poisoned corpses is really unusual. Like, they should never do that.
I'm going to thank you, farmer.
Of course.
I'm gonna saunter over towards towards the clericus. Clericus.
I'm right there already. I was talking to the...
I'm aware that you are there, but I'm like, I say saunter over as the noble saunter over. Ignore the farmer.
I say
Stand
ignore
between
the farmer.
him and you.
Walk 3 steps away to me.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Stand between him and you, and be like, we have an issue.
Can I make a note real quick?
Yeah.
The farmer would have introduced and basically gotten to know everybody as Dan or Danny.
Okay.
He's Farmer Dan. That
He's
is all.
Mohammed Chen.
Mohammed Dan.
I have a question for the farmer.
Yeah.
Does your family baptize the children?
I hadn't even thought about the religious half of it.
Yeah, think Roman Catholic Church. Like it would be commonplace for most nobles, at least the ruling class, to be baptized. However, from our conversation, where your character's from, it would be optional because not everybody in that kingdom does it.
I say yes
Okay,
because the family was leaning towards religion as like any because the father's health is declining relatively
Right.
rapidly, so leaning towards basically anything they can. So dipping into religion makes sense.
Good.
Good.
Noted. Yeah, like the clericus that is with Baron Santos, you can tell that he is a high-ranking priest. He was not there during your baptism, but if he finds out your legal name, he'll at least know who you are and like baptism and all that stuff. So that's something that you would be astutely aware since you've been hiding and kind of like on the run. Yay, my son woke up.
Yay! Soon there's gonna be 2.
I know.
Oh no.
I know.
Oh, they said okay. They said, "Oh no." I was like, "Well, yeah."
I mean, eventually it'll happen, right?
Yeah.
That's how marriages work, you know.
Yep.
Like
Get
I said,
married. Kids
Huh?
sperm
appear.
is sacred.
So
The family will grow.
Abbott, Clericus. The dogs are eating poison.
What would drive them to do such a thing? I've never seen that.
Yes. Yes. It might behoove us to get the stable masters down here to figure out what happened. I already have Squire Kiva on it. She is rounding up the more pliable
Ambitious.
animals now.
So Kiva will actually like signal you over. You can see that she's got one dog. She's used rope to like actually like hog tie the dog is kind of the best way to describe what's happening.
Dog tie the hog.
Yeah. But she's signaling you over. She's at kind of a loss for words. She's normally fairly quiet, but usually she's not one to shy away from reporting. So that's a little unusual.
Okay. So I'm going to go, hey, farmer, and I'm going to Tom Cruise him away from the abbot. For anybody unfamiliar with it, it's when Tom Cruise puts his hands around Katie Holmes' neck from behind and guides her to do a thing when they were married. I'm doing that with the farmer right now.
He noticeably tenses up for like a moment.
Let's
Sort of
leave
relaxes.
the abbot to his work, shall we? I'm sure there's another spot for you to find. And after a few steps away from the abbot, like a few good steps away from the abbot, I'll release you to go about your business. But since we're in the murder investigation, I can't let you near the abbot at the moment. So I'll hop over to the Lady Kiva.
She has this dog, and it's not putting up a fight. It's just kind of going with the tying. Like normally you can't hog tie a dog. That'd be stupid for anyone to do. But this dog just kind of like laid down, did it, didn't care. She's got it all tied up, and she like kind of brushes back. It's like kind of slicked and kind of gross fur because it's kind of getting mange out here.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's these markings, and there's definitely poison in the dog's system because you can see the purple bruising that comes up to the skin. But there's something that she can't recognize that you might recognize.
Okay.
Given your background, I don't think there's going to be any roll that needs to be made. There's Elven script on this dog. You don't know how to read it. You just know how to identify it. It's kind of like when you look at the Lord of the Rings ring. You're like, yep, that's Elven.
I scream to everybody in the area and draw my weapon. Clear the area now. And I look at Kiva. Cleanse it. Cleanse it with fire. The whole area.
All right.
Done. The investigation is over.
Best way to prove to people that elves exist. Burn all evidence.
She's not going to question it.
She's seen it before.
Yeah, she doesn't like know enough to recognize what it is. She just thought it was weird.
And I will look at her because she's probably like, "Oh shit, something's bad."
Yeah.
I'll go, "That's Elvish."
Yeah, she's going to do what she thinks is the right answer here. So you may end up yelling at her in a second.
Nope, it's totally fine.
I was going to say, she starts gathering the dogs into like this half-burned barn, and she's going to set fire to it and try and corral them into one spot.
Yep. It's fine. What is I yelled for everybody to clear the area.
I was going to say, 'cause she wants to keep the investigation site as pure as possible, but the dogs need to be put down by order.
Yeah.
So.
I will tell her the one that is hogtied can stay not dead.
Okay. Yeah, she will carry out the horribly heinous act of murdering a bunch of dogs.
Don't tell Steph.
Yeah. So
I'm going to cut the scene there for that because I'm going to draw my own X card. I don't want to describe the death of burning dogs.
What does that mean? Your own X card?
Just there is a button inside our game because of the material that we're going over. It's called the X card. If you click it, it sends me a private message. Nobody else knows. It just lets me know that you want me to stop describing the scene. So if I ever get to the point where I know that Murdoch and I both have PTSD, if I trigger anything like that, you can hit that button and it tells me, okay, we need to move on.
Where is the X button?
If you look on your screen and roll 20, lower left-hand corner, it should be in the bar.
Nope.
Oh, in that case, go to your macros and turn it on, which is that kind of list icon up there.
Boom, got it.
And there should be one that says X card. You can click the button. It says end bar. Yep, just like that.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
No, I'm totally okay with that scene fading to black.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
In another sense, you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, when the X card is played, it's not a community discussion. I will fade to black, and it's just going to be, that's the end of that scene. So feel free to throw that up. I don't say who does it. I'll just say, and that's how the scene kind of goes out, and we'll analyze it like that. So I think what we're going to do is jump like a half a minute later. Does everybody like run with Mason's command, or do you guys like stick around and try and figure out what the hell's going on?
I pretend not to know what's going on, and then I see like a flint and tinder, and I scatter.
I will retreat to a safe distance.
Yeah,
Likewise.
there's definitely like a trader's camp that's been set up outside of where Swordbreak Village was. It's where like Baron Santos's baggage train is. There's a few people that have come to be looky-loos of the area. That's kind of the safe area around here, if you would.
Okay. But no one's not leaving?
It looks like Francis is retreating back, and so is Farmer Dan.
I will.
I will also go to the safe space.
Okay.
I would bask in the flames.
I'm going to.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, since you
There's
you called
Havelock.
for everybody
Or no, that
else to
was
retreat
Luca.
back, Baron Santos's guards will move forward. He's got 4 armed guards. They are low-level knights.
I will turn and say, look at them straight out and say, I said move.
Okay, they will retreat back to where everybody else has gathered, but they're gonna stay swords drawn, shields
Yep.
up, in guard formation.
I will tell them to set a perimeter around the village, around the safe spot.
Okay, they do so. You're the lead investigation team, so they default to your judgment.
Did my god dog get brought?
That's up to you.
I would think that it
there's
is.
a reason that it wouldn't be there unless you
Yeah.
decided so.
I'm going to nail down and I'm going to try to. I assume that with my token from my homeland and all that stuff, and the little pendant I've got of the elvish thing, that I'm going to give it to him and see if he can sniff out any of basically where it came from or what happened, and go through everybody that's here, all of their things, everywhere.
Yeah,
searching for a spell that
I imagine that because we talked about it a little bit. Your dog is a hound, if I remember right. So yeah, let's give your dog, I would say probably 3 dice. It's a hound. This is like in their blood. So let me set up a roll here. And I think Kiva's been training her dog to help out, so she's going to give an extra die for helping. This is going to be basically the dog's perception going over stuff. Okay, that's 1 success. All right, cool. The dogs aren't going to find anything on the people in the safe area. They're going to be tracking scents, and there's a certain smell, like the smell of poisons in the air, and the dogs are way more sensitive to it.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's agitating your dog, but Kiva's dog, who isn't really a hound that doesn't have as strong of a nose, has picked up a different scent. And is kind of following it down to where the lapis lazuli mines are, trying to track down whatever this smell is.
Okay, before that, I'll halt the animal.
Okay.
And I'll like, it's not even like there's no, this is serious mode. So he just turns at Francis.
Oh, I'm here now.
Are you here? I thought you were.
I retreated.
Yeah.
Everybody retreated.
Yeah, he's doing the finger wave to you at the safe zone.
Okay, I will come forward. What exactly?
What's in that mine? What's in that mine?
Lapis lazuli mineral, I would imagine.
According to the reports of the trade, there should be 3 mines in total. One your contact was able to find the entrance to, and seems like it was damaged. But the other 2, the entrances have been sealed.
Ah. Is this the damaged one he was talking about? Or do I know?
No, you're not sure which way the dog was going, because the dog is now like kind of pacing back and forth, trying to go where it wants to go, but knows better than to disobey the command. It's kind of like when you halt hunting dogs, where they just kind of get real frantic and pace.
Okay. Does this particular entrance look damaged?
You're not near an entrance. It's heading towards where the mines are.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, so yes, I'll basically relay that. It's like in that direction is the lapis lazuli mines.
When?
I'm sorry.
When were they made?
Roll a mineral wise to know that?
Yeah. Do you want to make it up, or do you want me to make something up for you?
Make it up.
Okay, I'll make it up.
Okay. I need a 2. Actually, I'm going to reduce it to a 1 because lapis lazuli is a blue, and that's the color that you specialize in.
Okay.
Because of your farm and stuff like that. Like, this would be a competitor, you know a bunch about it.
Okay. Modifier is 0. Artha is 0. Base obstacle is 1.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I can't. Oh well, never
What?
mind. There's a rule. I'm not supposed to lower the ob. I'm supposed to give you a bonus instead. But whatever, you rolled it, so we'll stick with it.
Okay.
So, yeah, with that success, you could definitely tell me what you could bake up some stuff, and I'll tell you when I think is enough for us, and then we'll move forward from there. Because you definitely know more than just when the mine was made. Like you probably know who the family is or something special about the mine. At least two major facts.
Okay. This mine was first founded about 105 years ago. It came at a very fortuitous time for the family who first found it, because lapis lazuli and blue dye were actually quite rare at that point. We're running out of storage. Most of the major sources were running low. There were a few shipping problems at the time. So when the Connerton family, let's call them that, when the Connerton family managed to stumble upon this mine, they very quickly struck it rich and became much bigger factions inside the dye maker community.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good. The one thing that I will say is the timeline, 105 years might be a little extreme. Probably like 30, 20 years would be like the far.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you go in 105 years, that's going to make it at the time of the war.
Yeah.
Or near the time of the war.
Okay, fair point.
Where is the timeline, by the way? I was looking for it just now and can't find it in the handouts.
Yeah, same.
It's not in the handouts. It was a Google Drive. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Because it was the easiest way to do it.
All right, fair enough. So, yeah, let's do 45 years.
Okay. $45 years.
Got it. 45 years puts it just after Ansel was born.
Yeah.
All right.
Here is the link for the rest of you if you want to take a look at the timeline.
When's the last time you had contact with your family?
He looks a bit uncomfortable. Been a while. Like, if you don't mean letters. Last time I saw my sister in person was 3 months ago.
Are they the vengeful type?
No, not at all.
The dye makers have a reputation for efficiency in keeping their monopolies.
Francis's jaw will set a little bit. It's like, I'm not going to dispute that point. However, I think what you're implying is a bit too far.
I'm personally exploring why I found something that should terrify every being to their core in this, what should just be a local matter.
And what exactly is that? I know better than to question you when you start screaming to run, but now that we're talking, I'd like to know a bit more.
I'll walk over to the other animal, the one that's hogtied.
Yep.
And I'll kind of, I will make sure that, my gloves right into it, and I just show him the Elvish script.
So I think this time what we see is, because this is a little bit more than just like a quick shot, and then there's the like jump and run, capture all the dogs. The camera lingers a little bit more, and we can see that the script is actually moving on the flesh of the dog. This is active magic.
Oof.
This is a kind of magic that you've never seen before, because you personally have no interaction with the elves, and according to history, they should all be dead.
I'll look at him and say, that script, do you recognize it?
No, Guatemala, I've never seen anything like this.
I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
I will take out the pendant that I have, or the item that I have that I keep claiming is from the elves. That probably everybody knows that I have it.
And if I remember right, it is a an arrowhead and a broken shaft from an arrow.
And it's like, huh. He'll like look to the pendant, look at the words, look back again. I see. He looks a little troubled. Frowns a bit, looks back at you. Those words, do you know, would it be safe to copy them, such as it is?
No. The elves are a scourge. They should all be put down. I would say like dogs, but the death we're giving those beasts is too good for what's happening. That's why we had to clear everybody out of here. Whatever spell this out of game, I'm giving you the idea that I don't know. So I want that to be clear because Tom may not catch it. Whatever spell this was, meaning that he doesn't know that it's active, is is elvish origin. And so we're destroying what's left of that to keep whatever magic there was stopped and pent up. I don't know what'll happen, which is why I cleared everybody out.
Fair enough. I should like to keep records of this, but far be it from me to transcribe unknown magic script if we don't know the results.
I don't even know what spell this is.
You are mistaken about one thing, though. Was is incorrect. The spell is still active.
The blood drains from his face. He doesn't know what to do. He's just going to stand there silent, and like he almost will drop his sword. Like, you know how sometimes you just lose a grip on something real quick and then get it right back? Yeah, that's going to happen. He's totally going to lose composure.
Yeah, Francis, your school, the way that you use magic, it's similar in vein to this. You use the idea of ink being a fluid substance. This is something that you could actually emulate. Being a master of illusions, this is like a very basic spell that you would have learned, or at least the idea of it, which is to make moving script.
Right.
But it's hard to tell without understanding the language what the effects of this spell is. You could definitely attempt to, like, I guess the best way to do this is like a detect magic would be inside D&D.
Right.
You could roll like a sorcery check, or enchanting would also work for this because it's definitely a form of enchantment. To learn a little bit more about it. It won't necessarily like teach you the spell because of the way art magic works, but it will let you know more about the spell depending on like how well you roll.
Sure. Yes. I'd like to roll sorcery, forking in enchantment.
Okay. Looking this over, it's a script that you don't know, so that's going to raise the difficulty a little bit. To identify this, let me just see if Burning Wheel gives me a reference on what I should shoot for. Because we may be using sorcery a little bit outside of the
After
norm.
all the murder puppies, I had to go and, pet my puppy.
Yep. Let's see here.
I would never. The puppies are
looks
good.
like sorcery is normally used to cast, but I think using it to identify a spell is still pretty much within the wheelhouse. Alternatively, you could make a spell that identifies spells if you wanted to go that route. Which, let me look at your schools. Do you have knowledge, or are you just like illusion?
Well, knowledge is down the
Illusions, advantage, and trait. So those probably will not do it. You do have arcane knowledge 5, so yeah, you could.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I technically have fire, but that's like 7.
Yeah.
Like, I could do it, but I'm taking like an extra +5 to the difficulty.
Yeah,
So.
I was gonna say you could do it with arcane knowledge, but honestly, like being more astute in studying would probably be a little bit easier than that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go for like the more mundane study route.
Okay. You know that it would take a lot of time to get the answers that you want. Do you want to take more time on this check to get bonus dice, or do you want to do it at a normal pace, or do it even or quickly, which is still an option? Normal time to decipher this text will take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For each amount that you double that time, you can get a bonus die. That's kind of how taking your time works.
Yeah. So,
and you can get as much bonus dice as your actual die in that skill.
Right. So that's yeah. Okay. I'm gonna turn to Murdoch's character. It's like, I'd like to spend some time studying it. I'm uncomfortable not understanding what this is. It will take some time, though. I'm not at all familiar with this script. Give me a few hours. I'll see if I can get more answers to what's going on.
I look at you, and I...
You know, if you take time, there's less chance of you accidentally making whatever spell this is have worse effects, too. So you may want to bring that up if he counter argues with you.
Are you sure that is the best? I'm gonna look like before he even allows you to finish, he's going to yell for Ansel to come over.
Quite honestly, yes, or at least taking my time to do so. We currently have an active spell of very dubious origin, let's put it, and we don't know what it's doing. We probably should find that out as soon as possible.
Kiva's dog is now whining, still kind of pacing back and forth, waiting for the command to go back to it. But Ansel, you've been called over.
I arrive.
Tap, shuffle, shuffle. For the record, I have never just straight out called you Ansel. Abbott, please forgive me for using your name. We have found something that rocks me to my very core.
He'll look very seriously at you and nod for you to continue.
We have, and he's just, Francis, please.
It's like, I point at the dog. It seems we have found some elvish script. More than that, it is an active elvish spell. It's concerning, to say the least. I need to spend some time to decipher it and determine what the spell exactly is. I cannot be sure of the effects, but the longer I spend on this, the less likely things are to go wrong, assuming that whatever an effect it has doesn't come to fruition in that time.
Not only that, but I've set my animal and the Lady Kiva's to check for the scent of elves. No scent was found on anybody that we are currently traveling with. But there is a scent of elves here. In fact, that's why I called over Francis in the first place. The scent seems to be emanating from the mines, or at least heading that way.
I think in the background you can see Kiva cresting over a hill, and she raises up a hand to you, and she's making the hand sign for all clear. She's not able to find anybody that's nearby, but she's got her crossbow out.
Okay. I motion for her to come down.
She will. Her dog's going like straight bananas now because she's got the crossbow. Her dog's used to hunting. Yes, my lord. She kind of like, she doesn't do a full bow. She like leans her head, but she keeps her eyes available to see things.
It's active, and I point to the dog. And your excellently trained animal has found a scent.
Very well. Should we go together?
That is the plan.
She kind of adjusts the quarrel on her belt, and she does like a weapons check. You can tell because you've been with her long enough what she's doing. She keeps it discreet because that's the way you taught her. But it's not discreet enough for her teacher. That's the kind of thing.
I owe him a favor, and maybe this could help. Blacksmith Steelheart.
Yeah.
And Farmer Dan. I need your help.
This is not
right
the kind
away.
of help where you punch me again, is it?
No.
What do you want?
I mean to go fight a mythical beast creature.
Okay.
And since these two are required to stay here, I need the blacksmith to check our gear. And you, pointing to Dan, obviously know this terrain.
Right. Okay.
If we see the creature, you two will leave and report back and send reinforcements while we deal with it.
Like a visible sigh of relief. Yes, of course. Of course.
Abbott, I know that this is unorthodox, but we are talking about the Elvish.
Do what you must. But we can't keep the other investigators away from here indefinitely. Would it be possible for Francis to perhaps study it away from the site so that we may re-enter?
The whole site is tainted at the moment, and I'm not sure to what extent. But the hounds did catch a scent in the area, and I have to track that down. I'm hoping that you can help Francis in either determining it or keeping the others away. I know that you may not believe me, but trust me when I say this is dangerous.
It's magic we don't know. I agree.
And I'll look at Kiva like, give the dog the commands, and I hand my sword to the blacksmith to inspect it.
Okay. Tom, if you would like to go ahead and make your sorcery roll, how long do you want to spend on this? I know we mentioned hours, but keep in mind it doubles each time. So
yeah,
10 minutes,
I did
40 minutes.
Yeah, I did the math out. I'm going to give myself a +5 bonus, which is about 5 hours.
Okay. That gives me a good idea of what you will be doing, which is a lot of stuff. I'll give you the result when the 5 hours are up.
Okay.
But I do want to see your roll first.
Okay. I will also fork in enchanting as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Would religious history potentially help, since there's history of Timote fighting the elves and all that?
It could give you some religious factoids about elves, but that's about it.
Okay.
Oh, I keep forgetting. What does spending a fate do?
If you spend a fate, it allows you to re-roll any failed dice. If you spend a persona, it allows you to add to the total roll.
Okay.
That's where it's like Artha inside there.
All right. I don't have any of that, so I'll just roll what I've got. Okay. Obstacle.
Your obstacle is going to be a 4 on this one.
Okay.
All right. Is that a routine for you? That shouldn't be a routine, should it?
Yeah, I have 6.
I thought 4 is where difficult came up for 6.
Thing. No, it's like 5.
1 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 plus.
Oh, that's my fault. I should have told you that it was a Oh, okay. I meant to give you a hard roll. The obstacle should have been a 6. I'm going to keep it as a 6 and say that you got a hard roll. So check that off on your thing, because I meant to give you a chance to get a hard roll.
Cool. That difficult or challenging?
That's difficult.
Okay, cool.
But with 8 successes, you are successful in it still.
All right.
So you're going over it, and it's slow going. You can tell that there's definitely some sort of spell ingrained into it. But to not trigger it is kind of the trick here. Like you're working around it to figure out what exactly it is. Okay. And okay. For those of you that follow the dog, the scene's going to change. The dog has been led you to the Lapis Lazuli mines. It takes about 30 minutes of walking to get there, but you're moving at a quick hustle, so it probably takes you about 20 minutes because you guys are armored. The dog comes up across a pile of rocks. It's not where the mine entrance would be, but the dog is very set on this area here. It keeps running around the rocks and kind of like barking at them and indicating. Kiva will put her crossbow up and begin moving rocks, and you can see that it's actually a mine entrance that's been buried over.
How well do I know this area?
Pretty well. You know that there are a couple of ins and outs of the mines, but there's really only 2 major ones. As far as the mine owners are concerned, the Connerton family. But there have been miners that have created secret tunnels so that they can smuggle Lapis Lazuli out for their own profit.
Cool. Has this one always been blocked off?
You've never seen this particular entrance, but it does look like it was probably a smuggle tunnel because it's
okay.
Big enough for like one person to squeeze in at a time.
Okay, cool. So I'm not familiar with this one then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you know of smuggle tunnels, but you don't know where they are, kind of thing.
Yeah. But now I do.
So I'm going to turn and say, when did they block this off and why? To the farmer.
I have no idea. I didn't know this one was here. I mean, I know smugglers make their way in and out of the mines. There's not much you can do to stop them. I just don't know where they do it. Now I know it. Now I know where one of them does. This location is news to me.
Kiva's moving the rocks, and she says, I think it's been used recently. There's boards back here holding the stones in place. And she moves a few more rocks, and you can hear her kind of move boards out of the way, and it opens up, and it's wide enough for like a couple people to go in and out of. This could almost be its own mine entrance. It smells like decaying bodies inside here. It's so overpowering that I do need a steal check from anybody that's close. So all of you. On your character sheets, you'll see a stat called Steel. You'll just click the D6 next to that, and it'll roll it.
Yep.
If it asks you for an obstacle, it shouldn't, because a Steel is basically against yourself, and it will say how many seconds you hesitate.
So
Just
modifiers?
modifiers it says base obstacle.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So the
it's a
base
base obstacle of 1
is
is defaulting to.
Let's see. I think it's going to be probably a 4. If you are a soldier who's experienced in warfare, it could go down to or you can have a bonus die, I should say.
Jesus Christ. I don't think I can make it.
So is this
You
to
guys
feel
probably-
the effects or to show that you feel the effects?
This will be you experiencing the effects. Once you roll, it will give me an answer, and I'll tell you guys how Steel works.
What kind of check this
Okay,
is?
cool.
Is this
It's steel check, he
Steel.
said.
a difficulty, challenge, routine?
Let me look at how your sheets have it, because it sounds different than what I'm expecting.
Yeah. I'm not going to do anything until.
I'll do it for Marshall's sheet here. So let's see. Steel. Click the D6 on Steel.
Yeah.
As a warrior type, do you think your character's been involved in, or your character has definitely been involved in war because you were in the First Inquisition?
Yep.
You're going to get a bonus 1 on this roll.
Okay.
And then I submit that, and then it's Artha, which is the same thing that we've done before.
I would like to use that.
And then, okay, so you want to use some, you have a fate point, I believe?
5 of them.
Okay, cool. So you'll use a fate point, so that will be 1. Do you want to just use 1 fate point, or do you want to use multiple? I'll tell you what the obstacle is. The obstacle's 4, so you have 4 dice going into it. You are up to 5 right now, so you could spend 2 and go up to 7 if you wanted to.
I'll spend 3.
3? Okay. So then I submit that with the obstacle of 4.
And I lose these fate, right?
Yes. Okay. How this works is you got 3 successes out of the obstacle of 4. That means for 1 heartbeat, essentially, you're going to hesitate. Kind of like you did earlier when you saw the script and you hesitated naturally. I liked what you did, so I didn't call for a steel test at the time. This is everybody doing a steel test right now.
Okay.
Kiva will make hers. Let's see here.
Yeah. You'd rolled a will right there, Chris.
What's that? What'd you say, Jeremy?
The one you rolled for me was a will.
Oh, sorry. Reroll that with a steel, if you would.
Mine
Because
is
your
wrong.
steel is probably higher than your will.
I don't think I said.
She has not been in war. She is not going to spend any Artha.
Yeah.
Chris, I still have that wound I had from Murdoch, right? It hasn't been that long.
Yes, you do.
Damn, I could have probably.
So, Jeremy will hesitate, or Marshall will hesitate. Marshall, for 1 heartbeat, these are your options. You can either, let me find what the cards are again, because I remember them from the cards. Here we go. You can faint, take no action, which would be stand-in rule is what they call it, but you can do anything which would be a no action item. So it could be something like you make a small squeaking sound for like 3 seconds, or whatever you want it to be. Like I said, you can faint, stand and drool, or you can run away. Those are your 3 options. And run away is not run away forever. That's like get back to safety or where you feel safe. So it could be like 20 feet back from this entrance.
Yeah, you step out of the smell.
Yeah.
I failed, by the way. I just fucked up the obstacle.
Okay, so same thing for you. But you said you messed up the obstacle. Okay,
Because
yeah.
you
So
rolled
for
one,
1
you
instead of
rolled
4.
3, but
I
you
rolled 3
as well.
So I missed it.
I'm gonna stand and be shocked.
I will basically turn my face away from the other people, like arm to my mouth, and pretend I'm not just retching on the inside.
Yeah, like retching would definitely be like a good use of steel in this scene. So yeah, like there's a little bit of dry heaving. Like Marshall's just so struck that he's just standing there for a moment.
I'm choosing to believe that my sinuses are not in the best condition due to always being in forge.
Kiva,
They're getting to me, so that's already a problem.
Kiva's broken down the boards. She smells it, and she will pull her crossbow and stand her ground, which is actually kind of surprising for the mentor because you didn't really expect her to have this kind of resolve.
There you go. And I fucking
she will push forward
my
into the cave
skill roll.
to make sure it's clear.
Okay, I'll fall right in behind her.
After a few steps in, she's able to find a wall scone, and she kind of like points at it to you to see if you want to light it or not. She's not entirely certain what she should do in this situation.
Do I know if elves see in the dark?
Oh yeah, they definitely do. The elves you've dealt with, yeah.
They hunted at night.
Because you had the unfortunate life of growing up with dark elves.
By the way, the steel check we just made, was that what kind of challenge was that, so I can fill in the bubble?
Depends on your steel.
For you, it was difficult. If you look at the result there, underneath the word steel, it'll tell you what kind of challenge it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good to know. I nod yes. We absolutely should. They can see us already.
Okay, so she lights it, and this is an old cave system. They use kind of an old mining trick, which is there's a furrow along the wall. Once you light the first wall sconce, there's oil that kind of lines the walls. It will light several of them in a row. It's what the Romans used to use to light their buildings. Same kind of principle.
Yep.
But basically, she's ignited this entire mine. It only goes back another 20 feet or so. You can see that the fire continues going, but there's a cave in, and you can see that there's this strange apparatus. It looks like what's the best way to describe this thing? It's kind of like a steel rod that's about 10 feet long, like a steel pole, and there's manacles attached to it. It's been chained to a couple of rocks in the side of this lapis lazuli mine. The inside the back, you can find dead victims that have been chained to the walls, and there's arrows. Some of the bodies have been propped up and used as target practice inside here. And you can find all sorts of like primitive torture tools inside here, but there's no one alive in here. The bodies are definitely decayed. They've been stripped down, mutilated, and really like defiled is kind of the best way to put it. Instantly, without any sort of like perception or anything behind it, you can see that these bodies have been marked with the same Elvish script. All of the bodies that are here are from Aldhedge. They're citizens of Aldhedge, soldiers.
I'll pull out one of the arrows.
Okay. It's a man-made arrow.
Okay. I call up to the blacksmith for my sword because he's still not moving.
As you get deeper, the floor of the cave kind of goes away. You have to wade into bodies. This is pretty severe inside here. I'm not going to go too much deeper into it, but you get the idea.
Yep.
So I'm going to bring you your sword.
Yep.
After it's been taken care of, attended to. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to make sure this mine shaft doesn't collapse in on you. And, near the entrance with all the fresh...
I'm going to need your help digging that and figuring out what that apparatus is.
Are you pointing at the bodies?
No, the apparatus.
The 10-foot pole that's got manacles attached to it. You could do a torture test or like engineering. That could also kind of tell you what's here.
I don't have engineering.
You guys did learn of someone who could help you with torture. But that's Murdoch's, or not Murdoch's. That's Mason's best friend in the world. The what was his name? The Lord
Fuckhead.
Justice Christian Jacobin.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what if I could do blacksmith, Chris?
Yeah, blacksmith could work.
Or if you want, I could fork in Mad Inventor wise.
Yes, Mad Inventor would definitely work for this.
Yes.
In fact, Mad Inventor should probably be the skill, and then you fork blacksmithing.
I'm also okay with this. All right, hold on. How do I?
Mad Inventor is the skill you want.
I was gonna say,
That's
actually, Mad
terrifying.
Inventor is the perfect skill for this scene. Like, you will actually get all of the knowledge if you roll well.
Hold on. How do I I've never actually forked in, how do I fork?
So when it asks you for bonus dice in there, at the first thing that you click, it says like anything
modifiers?
to it. The modifiers, you get 1 for forking
Okay.
because you don't have a high enough skill that you would get bonus dice for forking. After I think it's like 8, you get 2 dice in there. I'd have to double check, but
7.
oh,
Can
7.
you fork in multiple things?
You can fork in multiple things.
All right. I don't suppose I can fork in carpentry as well.
Not in this. There's no wood.
All right. I wasn't sure if it was.
You have enchanting.
I do.
You can fork that.
Nice.
I have to ask you the ones that you might not think about, because I want you to get used to kind of asking about adding things together like this.
I don't suppose I can fork in. No, it's blacksmith. I can't do whitesmith. So.
No, it's definitely blacksmith.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I can't fork in any of the other ones. I mean, obscure history.
Yes. If you've got that unlocked, I think you're
do.
unlocking it right now, right?
No, I've already had that
no,
one.
you have it. Yeah, you could definitely do it. So that's 3.
Unless Dwarven runes, rune script, or
No, there's no rune script or anything in this.
appraisal, maybe.
No,
All right,
because you're not looking to find out how much it would cost to buy one of these things.
Nah, the rest of it out. That's about half my skills right there. So
You never know.
So that's 3.
I already have that's 3 extra.
Yep.
I'm not doing. And what's the base obstacle?
The base obstacle is going to be is a 1. The more successes you get, the more information you will get for this.
There you go.
All right, so that is on my screen.
Firepower.
Can you tell me what your result is? Because my
4 to 1.
4 to 1.
4-1. Okay, with 4, you know that this is a torture device. Essentially, what happens is 20 people get shackled to this device at once, and then the person who's doing the torturing pretty much gets free reign to do whatever they want. This is a way to, looking at it and the way the tools are arranged in the room, it looks like this was used to teach people to torture. There would have been like a head torturer. All these people would have been shackled, and there would have been people learning. It looks like in the back where the bodies are stacked up for target practice, people were learning archery. But this seems to be someone who's training like maybe an elite force, but looking at the kind of the crude setup, elite might be a stretch. They're more like guerrilla soldiers, if you had to venture a guess. As far as obscure history, what you got with that, this kind of device was used during the First Inquisition by the elves. And then you did enchanting. So there is some remnants of like minerals that you would use, lapis lazuli being one of them, coal and manganese are all here. These would be properties that you would use for writing script, something similar to Dwarven script, but Dwarven script tends to use more precious metals than like jewels and plant matter, because you're finding plant matter and you can't quite determine what it is because it's been burnt. And then one more thing about engineering. This would have been designed for this room for training purposes would have been designed for maybe about 20 people at a time. It wouldn't be a huge force. It would be a little bit more of a specialized force.
Well, How could people ever come up with the idea of this? This is horrible.
What is it?
It's, like, there's torture devices, right?
Yes. Who made
This-
them?
No. This isn't just any normal torture device. This is a torture device designed to train people to torture people. Also, there's thing that also. Last time I checked, these were heavily used by elves.
Looking at it, it's not elegant enough design to be elven craft. This was definitely
Elven-
done by human hands.
No, it's made by it's originally used by elves. The original idea of it, but this is definitely. I mean, look at it. I may not like elves, but they do better stuff than this. This is human stuff.
Yeah. And there's still elven script. Are you any good with magics?
I understand bits of it. I mean, you couldn't. I'm more of just the kind of magic that infuses magic into items. That's what I'm better with.
Farmer!
Yes,
Please get the abbot for me.
of course.
Run!
He's already running. You can hear it.
I'm going to wade through the bodies for more information. I'd find anything else. The dogs are obviously going to be let loose to sniff in here. And
Yeah, this is what the dog was going after. Kiva rewards the dog for finding it. Kiva's inside the back and is finding like human bows, human arrows. There's nothing that really leads to like an elf being here, but someone maybe like almost fetishizing elves. That's kind of what you're getting from this whole thing.
Mhm.
And Kiva, looking at some of the stuff, she comes back and she tells you that she thinks it's somewhere between like 12 and 20 people, which confirms what Marshall said. And really kind of looking over the place, it's a training facility. Really gruesome and terribly kept up with.
failed dress.
Okay.
I would like to slash, and I'd like to try to fork in hunting and possibly soldiering. Can I determine how long the corpses have been here? Or what the freshest corpse is in this area?
Yeah, I think you could do that. Normally field dress is for fixing wounds, but I think you'd be able to tell like decay on flesh.
Does hunting and soldiering allow me to add those forks?
No, I don't think soldiering will, but I think hunting should be fine.
Okay. What's the base obstacle?
Base ob will be, let's see, 2. Okay. All right. It's hard to tell. There's too many bodies to really make like a figure out exactly even which ones are the newest. You look at the one at the top, and like kind of on the top of this pile, it seems to be in the best condition. It's probably the best one to judge from. If you had to venture a guess, just kind of looking at it, a day or two, that it was killed, but it's definitely been here longer. Like you can see that there are bruises and things like that. How long it's been here, you're not really sure, but probably over a week.
Do I notice? So I noticed that the. I'm sorry, Chris. Continue.
Yeah, going over the body, you can find the elven script, which is moving on the flesh. Sorry, is not moving because it's dead.
You said that I only find Eldhedge soldiers here, right?
Yes, and they're very easily identified, or at least like their features are very easy to tell.
Okay, I'll pull out an arrow from one of the corpses again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just hand it back to the blacksmith, who I assume is like got his, he's got like a handkerchief around his face. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is fucking terrifying. Look. Where would you say this was made from? Jeremy.
That was for you, Jeremy.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was
Handing an
asking
arrow back
where-
to the
where
blacksmith
the
and
arrow
saying,
was
"Hey,
made
where was
from.
this made?"
Oh, sorry, I was trying to read something.
Stop trying to watch porno while we're playing video games.
No.
Wait.
That's not
You can't stop me. Oh wait.
Sorry, that was for Jeremy.
That was meant for Brendan. What the fuck?
Looking it over, there's no maker's mark. This looks like any hunter in the woods could have done, like village hunter could have done this. It's hard to tell.
I'm gonna point out, like, I mean, look, if you want a professional opinion, give me a professional arrow. If you want just a shitty arrow that anybody can make, here you go.
Do I see any of the tools in here? Like, can
Yep.
you identify where any of the tools may have been made?
I mean, I'll scavenge around for the tools and what I can about them, Chris.
Yeah. It will take some time, but the answers are easy. I don't need a roll for this one. Essentially,
Yeah.
they're made by a few different people. Some of the tools that were being used for torture aren't really torture tools. They're things like a cow castrator was used here. Kitchen knives. They're things that were used for torture that aren't intended for torture. It's just a very crude thing that they've set up here.
This is horrible. How dare they misproperly use tools? But
Quips.
these are what they use for torture. You can tell. I mean, right here, like look at this castrator. This definitely was used.
Yes. I can tell. By that corpse with no penis.
Hey, you're the one that looked, not me.
Let's
But
just wait for the abbot.
while we wait for the abbot, Chris, I'm
Yep.
gonna see if I can find out, like, the script on the poll you said was it had had lapis lazuli, which this of mine is obviously has that in it, but it also had you said magnesium? No, manganese.
Manganese. It was the lapis lazuli, manganese, coal, and bits of plant matter that you weren't really sure what it was.
Yeah. I want to see if I can find where the ingredients, because all these ingredients are mixed together to then make the script on it. So I'm trying to see if I can track down at least as much as I can, and where, who made the script, because the script it's like the poll itself is definitely human made, but the script is elvish.
Yeah.
So I want to
Something
see
like-
who put it there.
Something like mineral wise would actually be really great about figuring out where those minerals come from.
Awesome. Let's talk to the guy who knows minerals.
Yep.
Hank Schrader.
I saddle on up to you. Tom. So
Yeah, I'm in the middle of like doing some arcane nonsense.
yes, and
Yeah.
he knows and also doesn't give
you
a
would
shit.
you would actually have to go all the way back to the safety of camp. So if you want to let your night protector know, hey, I'm going back to camp, that's probably the first step.
I'm just gonna walk out. If he says
Okay.
something, let me know.
As you begin to walk out, I quip back at you. I said, "What, is your stomach starting to bother you?"
Always, but this time I'm trying to find out a bit more about how a human-made torture device within a place that used human tools to torture humans, because I mean the bodies obviously probably look human, at least from my untrained eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yet on it there's magical elvish script. And I'm not really expert on minerals, but we know someone who is. So I'm going to go consult with him.
Fair enough. Wait until he's finished with his current work.
Fine.
Okay.
And get the damn abbot. I'm afraid that farmer may have left.
The important question is, do you wait for Tom to finish or do you interrupt?
Am I stopped from still walking out of the cave?
No.
No.
Then I interrupt.
Okay. Good. Tom, your time has been cut in half because he's brought you valuable information with those minerals.
Oh, okay. As you approach him, he'll be like standing and looking up into space. His hands are dripping colors, and there are arcane diagrams in the air around him. Like, he's using his illusions basically to make notes for himself while he does this.
All right.
Abbott, you've been summoned to the cave. We're about halfway through Tom's time here.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just sort of sitting like 10 feet away or so from Tom doing his thing, just sipping on some ale, just with a confused and bewildered look on his face, looking at this magic.
Like, there's all this stuff.
Arcane magic's weird. Why can't they just have faith?
I just talked to a guy. He gives me power. Everything's all hunky-dory. He's got to put it all up in our face.
He's got to draw with it.
Okay. So, yeah, you've been summoned to the cave.
All right. Who did the summoning, by the way?
Farmer Dan came to get you.
Farmer Dan came to get you. And then he mumbled something about having business in camp and walked back into camp.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll try to find the way.
I mean, that's a pretty humanistic response to the horrible scene that you guys had. So
Yeah, I'm not used to this. That was gut and heart wrenching for me. I don't want anything to do with that.
yeah.
I gave you like a vague direction. It's over that way behind the hill. Take a left at the first oak. I'm gonna go over here.
Oh, okay. Oh boy.
He's looks like he's about to puke.
So I need a steel test ob 4 for the clericus as he comes around, because no amount of warning would have ever done you any good for this scene.
Pray for this.
Okay. And are there any modifiers to this? I'm just doing a straight roll.
It's just a straight roll unless you spend Artha, which you have a persona point, so you could add 1 to your roll if you wanted to.
Oof.
Hey, I rolled all successes.
You and me, we did the same thing. We rolled perfectly, and we're like,
yeah. For 1 heartbeat, you either run away, faint, or something else appropriate for seeing a horrific sight. Probably the most horrific sight that the abbot's ever seen.
It's up there. His whole family and village got butchered in war. So,
yeah.
But this is a little new for him.
So what does the abbot do during his heartbeat of hesitation there?
He's gonna shuffle away and puke up all that ale he just had.
Mason, you can hear the wrenching from outside the cave. Someone's come up on it.
If they wrenched, then they're not an enemy. Because if they were here, they would already be used to it.
Yep. Moments later, the abbot kind of steps gingerly around the corner.
I yell to the abbot, sword drawn, "Where's the first place we met?"
Now I have to actually think because I kind of want it to be interesting.
I was going to say, the good part is you can say it and then be like, I'm telling the truth, and then it is.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, I'm lying, and just roll the dice and see what happens. It won't have anything to do with that sword, I promise.
On the road on my way to Wayhaven, you were beaten and bloody.
Is this the truth or is this fake?
This is the truth.
Okay. He'll put down his sword and he goes, "Welcome to a day in the life of a jungler."
Oh, what?
My people.
Oh, I didn't hear jungler. Okay. I thought you said jubbler.
No.
Uh,
Juglo.
uh,
How do elves work?
This
Have-
seems to be an area with torture. The post there held about 20 people as a guerrilla force trained on torture and arrow shooting. And of course, and then I point to the script again.
Were the people alive when they were brought here, or have they been? The farmer mentioned corpses were disappearing recently from the field.
That one was alive 2 days ago. But he's been here for far longer than that. These weren't the corpses that were disappearing. These were alive.
What?
I no longer believe elves did this. I think man did.
Said he died recently. Was it by another's hand, or was it from starvation or of thirst? Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not a surgeon. I would be hesitant to remove any body from this area until we've identified the magics.
I'll go take a look at the one he mentioned that's died recently.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not exactly sure how this work. Basically, just not really something medical, but living on the road for like over half my life, I've seen a lot of like poor people, starving people.
Yeah.
Like, so I have roadwise. Could that be used potentially to see if this person didn't die of wounds, but died of?
I think that's a little bit of a stretch of what
Yeah.
Roadwise would cover. I think Roadwise is more about like knowing the best routes, places to stay, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Then I guess I'll try something untrained then. So what would it be to determine whether they died of from another person or just died from exposure and starvation?
It's pretty easy to tell that they've died of like starvation and wounds.
Okay.
Like the ones in the back were definitely shot to death with arrows. But like most of the victims inside here have been starved at least to some extent.
Basically, I'm trying to determine whether or not like they've been tortured recently or if they just got abandoned here and then died that way.
No, this is definitely where the torture happened, and probably days or so from today is when the last time that somebody was tortured. Looking around.
Okay. Could it be possible to make it appear we haven't been here?
No. There's so much here.
Kiva,
We've
kind of
stomped
faces up.
bodies and stuff.
Kiva speaks up and she says, "Well, we could put the stones and the scaffolding back in place, but if it looks wrong, they'll look into it, and then there's no hiding what was done here."
Because you make it sound like if they've been here recently, they should be back after the investigation leaves.
I would agree. But the farmer that we found here, he knew nothing about this. The townsfolk are dead. Those are old head soldiers right there.
Kiva speaks up. Forgive me, I have to step out for a moment. And you can see that she's like turned green. now that things have calmed, like the air is finally hitting her.
Yep.
She'll step out for a little bit, but she's going to stay crossbow in arm, kind of towards the mouth of the cave.
Lady Kiva.
Yes.
Head back to the Aldhedge investigators. Ask the Lord Justicar to come here. Don't warn him of the smell. I think he may enjoy it when he arrives, and I wouldn't want to rob him of that privilege. But also, keep an eye on the Ethabend investigators.
An Ethabend investigator should also be requested to come to allow the image of fairness.
The two investigative teams have taken separate paths. Aldhedge went on their own to the mines, and Ethabend has stayed back at that safe site.
Aldhedge went to the mines?
No, Aldhedge went to the mines, yes.
Okay.
When you walk to the well, they walk to the mines.
Okay.
I can retrieve both, but it will take some time unless you want to divide the tasks.
Just guard Francis. I want him to receive no further no interruptions.
Very well. She'll give a low whistle to her dog, and she'll start heading out. A few minutes later, she's actually going to double back, and she says, forgive me, Master, the body's outside. I didn't notice it before, but they're either villagers or Ethabend soldiers. There are no Aldhedge out here. Given the scale of forces involved in this, there's probably another cave like this somewhere.
Find it.
She'll nod back, and she starts getting her dog on the scent.
I'll give her mine as well.
Okay.
Or I'll say use mine as well.
Okay.
Well, have it. The days grow shorter on the age of man being the only race here again. There is no man alive that should know Elven script or Elven magics, or be able to recreate such a torture device as that used by the elves. Maybe you'll start to believe me when I say that I'm from the jungle, and I know what danger is coming.
Never called you a liar, Mason. You're one of the most honest people I know.
But you could use your rank to spread this information, so that way the rest of the people would know and be willing to fight.
Well, you said yourself earlier that this appeared to be men emulating the elves. We need to capture these people and know what's truly going on now.
I agree.
Fear-mongering might have a detrimental effect without knowing the facts.
Once we are finished with this investigation, I intend to send it up the chain.
So, if nothing else, I think we're going to move forward to when Tom makes his discovery.
Sounds good.
So, Tom,
Okay.
I've just added a mysterious note. I'm going to show it to all the players. This is what your script translates to. The spell itself is basically a spell to keep that moving on their skin. It's a brand. When they die, it stays still on the skin. That is all the spell does. It's not very sophisticated. You probably went in way more cautious than you needed to be, but frankly, considering it's unknown magics, caution is sometimes great because it could have very easily been like runes of destruction and kills the person who reads it.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
The letters here are kind of what's the best way to put it? Crude. Now that you understand, like what you understand of elves, they were always very graceful and noble and indignant. Like their script should be nicer than this. So, without definitive proof, you can at least kind of draw the conclusion this is probably not elven handwriting, like elven hand for handwriting.
Yay, that's the answer I was trying to come to.
Interesting.
Is the blacksmith back at camp with me?
I
Out
came
by
to
Francis, so close.
yeah.
Close. I'm trying, basically in the time it takes them to finish up at the cave, I'm trying to convince the blacksmith that we should convince Mason to burn the cave out. He's like exasperated and in kind of he's a little bit of a huff. Like he's freaking out.
Why? I mean, why?
Why burn out the cave?
Yes.
Would you allow a festering rot like that to sit in your own basement? No, of course
It's
you
not-
wouldn't.
It's not my basement.
Then why should we leave it out here to spread disease and filth all over the place? That's how the sort of thing starts. That's how plagues begin. Is with situations like that.
I'm gonna leave it up to Mason. I'm not really well versed in the subject of that. I'm gonna leave it up to him. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going with this.
All right, Chris, I need to ask you if I could like willfully take on mental trauma.
Yeah, you definitely can. What's going to happen is when we get to the end of this story arc, we're going to do what's called a trait vote. What you can do basically until then is you can act like you have a trauma, and then when we get to the trait vote, we can say, okay, Nate's character's been acting like he has a trauma. Let's actually give his character that.
Okay, cool.
Because once it's on your character sheet, you then can earn Artha for it, which is experience in the system.
Sweet.
Chris, according to what you just said, if someone keeps on acting like an idiot, like Murdoch, okay, then we could all vote to say he's an idiot.
I mean, I wouldn't say what Murdoch's been doing up to now is considered an idiot, but yeah,
It was just
like
an
you're
example.
thinking,
I was gonna say,
Jeremy.
but yes, that is kind of how the way the game works. Like you act your character the way you would, and then when we come to trait votes, we vote off things that don't make sense on your character sheet, and we add things to your character sheet that do make sense for the way you've been playing.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on how this goes.
Like, I could see us saying, for like, if we were to trait vote, let's say tonight, and we got to Murdoch's character and we said militant might be a good thing to add to his sheet because it's not currently on there. I think that would be a fair thing, and we'd have a discussion. Basically, to add something to someone's sheet or remove it, it's a majority or it's a unanimous vote for adding, but removing can be done by the player who owns the sheet or unanimous vote by everybody else.
All right. So
Okay.
you don't like. All right. I'm good.
So Tom, you receive that translation.
And I helped.
And I helped.
Yeah, the bits that he got you, it basically lets you know that the enchantment it's a brand. It's an enchanting brand. It's very easy to do. It's something that you learn when you're learning enchantments. Like it's one of the first things you learned.
Interesting.
It does sound familiar.
If there's none of my companions around me, I'm going to go find them to impart this news.
I am right there.
Yeah.
I have not left because I understand magic in some magic, and I understand enchanting. I knew what this was, so that's why I stayed mostly to see if he needed help.
Okay.
So is everybody going to go meet up at the caves, or is Farmer Dan staying the hell away?
I will stay the hell away. If they're going to go back to the caves, I am not going.
Well, I'm waiting to find the other cave or the other thing like this, so I'm not leaving.
All right. Well,
Okay. So you guys will go to the cave. Kiva will arrive about the same time you do. She will alert you that she's found the other location.
I will head in that direction. I'll look at the party that is with me and go, is anybody joining us? Also, has Francis told me what he saw yet? What he made out?
I'd like to leave that. Me and Francis are gonna. Well, Francis is gonna tell you on the way to the next cave. That's the way I feel.
Oh, sure. Let's just say I arrive at the same time as Kiva, and Kiva speaks first.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So, anyways, like as we're walking, it's like, so I translated the spell. Much simpler than I actually thought. It's actually just a brand. All it does is relay a message, which was Etheben peasants serve no the row. All the row will leave Etheben land, or there will be no safety. And that's it. And quite frankly, now that I know how it works, it wasn't very good. I mean, it's hard to describe. This is definitely a magic that I've never seen before, but it's a bit shoddily done. This is something I would expect of some kind of apprentice, just learning the first act of enchantment. Not, well, it does not resemble the elven grace that I've heard from in lore.
Grace.
What is it? And then you tell me.
Yes, put that.
Certainly not Elvish. But where would they have learned Elvish?
That is an interesting question. I haven't the faintest.
Kiva will take you to the second cave. Once the doors are broken in, this cave is...
Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Chris, before we get there, I'll stop. Get Farmer Dan.
He seemed very averse to the...
I don't care. Go get him.
Very averse to the smell.
Bring him here. We will wait. There is no smell.
You guys are like in between the two caves.
Yeah.
I'll go tell him. If he says no, I'm not really going to force him.
And then I would like you to come back as well.
I don't really have a problem with the smell. I already smelled it now. I'm used to it now. I go out.
Okay.
To go get Farmer Dan. Danovan.
You don't know his full name. He only ever refers to himself as Dan or Danny.
I hate you.
Fuck you. He calls you Danovan for no reason.
It just happened to be a pure coincidence.
Or he calls you Dan the Man and you think it's Dan the Man.
Dan the Man.
Dan the Man. I'll take Dan the Man.
All right.
He's like agitated and kind of pacing. Like little ways off.
Look. We're needed by Mason.
What for?
We're needed by Mason.
I'm not going into another one of those caves.
We're not going to a cave. We're going.
Chris, do I know these people to be liars or honest people generally?
They're generally honest. They
wouldn't try to like pull the wool over my eyes and give me, "Aha, you got a cave now, suck it." Like, these aren't that kind of people.
I am not known to be a liar.
Okay. He'll take like a deep breath and compose himself in a way unbefitting of a farmer.
How is there a way unbefitting of a peasant farmer?
You just know.
He walks
just
too
like-
much regal gray afterward.
This is one of those farmers who obviously got a
So
hold
wait.
of.
Here's
book
what he
and he's
does
like,
on becoming to a farmer. Oh my god.
oh my God.
No, I actually have the trait regal bearing.
Oh, do you? Nice.
Yeah, I took regal bearing. So he like that's why like he stands up very straight. He looks like respectful and almost proud, even though he's a shitty farmer. Like
Look, you're just a hipster farmer. You just
I'm just hipster. Super, yeah. Anyway,
Farming is a proud and noble profession.
it is, and that's the story he
Good
tells.
hard work.
That's the story he tells. It's a proud and noble profession.
What I love about that is the abbot would never deny that. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it is.
Don't be too
so-
proud, though.
Being too proud is a sin.
He'll take that deep breath and compose himself, and then he'll. Okay, I lead the way.
All right, I bring him back to the party, which is not at a cave.
Yep.
It's in between caves.
But it's
I
not
can-
at one, and that's important.
Because I did not lie. I told you I was not bringing you back to a cave.
You were not, and you didn't lie. I figure it's around the mine somewhere, but I'm not going into another fucking cave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not by my word. Mason, Dan, Mason.
Gentlemen,
What?
He's
Dan
a
the man.
Oh. Okay. What do you need?
Why did you look all flush for a moment?
I didn't know what you had called me. I wasn't sure if you were calling for me.
Oh.
Anyway,
I have a
What is
question. You seem to know these people. How would a peasant go about learning Elvish?
I want you to treat that as if a person in our world walked up to you and just asked you on the street, hey, how would a peasant learn Elvish? Because that's how alien this question is.
Is
Well,
it the
there's actual answers to that in our real world, though.
Is it the learn Elvish part or how would a peasant do something part?
It's elves, basically. Like, elves are extinct. Like,
no, yeah, I got it. I'm trying to think of how I would formulate the answer. Well,
Elves
first they would
Are
steal a book,
dead.
and then they would hide in the corner of a classroom, hopefully unseen, and try to learn how to read the book.
there you go, because most peasants don't read in this setting.
And then they would open the storybook of fairy tales. And what are you even getting at? Elves are extinct. Their language is gone.
That's what they want you to think.
Same thing
What
with the dinosaurs.
What did you find in there? Beyond the atrocities that were
Francis,
assaulting my nostrils.
would you say that the Elvish language is dead?
He looks very conflicted for a few seconds. It's like, I would say we've encountered a language which I have never seen before, which has some very interesting mystical properties, and which you say from experience is Elvish.
Kiva,
Such a diplomatic answer.
Yes.
you've been to my land. You know the truth.
Yes, it appears to be elvish. I'm unfortunately not an expert in any stretch.
Does the language we saw not only in that cave, but the one with Francis's, or the spell that Francis deciphered, seemed elvish to you? Or would you respect my opinion that it is elvish?
Yes, I believe it to be so.
So, again, Dan the man here. Farmer Dan. Danny boy.
Yes, on with it.
Dandelion.
Dandelion.
Ah, the indignities he must suffer.
Where would a peasant learn Elvish?
Well, now that I know the question is serious, I return to my previous answer without the mocking tone. That is how a peasant would learn Elvish. But instead of a storybook full of fables, it would have to be some decrepit tome, hundreds or thousands or whatever years old, that
And
may or may not even exist around here.
Where do you think that would come from?
Danovan, you've got some
Danovan.
knowledge on the area. There's an interesting fellow that you've heard stories about. I mean, you never gave it credit because it would be fairy tale nonsense. In Hallister Fort, there is the Lord Knight Marco de Alcedo. Marcos de Alcedo. Marcos wears a mask, and rumor has it that he has been stolen away by the elves for part of his life. You know that the official story is that he actually has a birth defect, and that's why he wears the mask all the time.
Okay. I'm just copying this down.
I'm about to reveal him to all characters.
Okay, cool.
That's him. That's like the only thing about elves that you've ever really heard about, but that's children's stories, really. That'd be like the saying that the house down the road, a witch lives there.
So he's about to like come back at you with some like quippy remark about how this is all ridiculous when he stops.
Yes, spit it out.
There. I hope I do not condemn this man. There's a man. Son of the Duke Sebastian de Alcedo. In your dealings around here, you may have heard of almost a hermit. A man who wears a mask, doesn't reveal his face. The rumors say that for at least a part of his life, he was stolen away by elves. But, of course, talk like that is discarded as just that, rumors, hearsay, fairy tales, with no real evidence or truth to back it up. But if what you say is true, and I admit I've never known you to be a liar, you've always spoken your thoughts clearly and honestly, then this, considering the location that we find this man, may prove to be more true than we all suspected. He sort of like backs into his own humility a little bit, like doesn't want to admit that you might be right.
Well, he'll start doing the Father and the Son, and the Holy Ghost of Tomate thing, and he's praying to cast a spell. For those that are around that don't know that he can do that,
Okay.
I would like to cast a spell on everybody here to help us steel ourselves for the next little area we're going to go in that surely people are going to get sick.
Okay. By the way, now that he's described Marcos de Alcedo, you would know him as the Masked Knight. That would be what his common term around here.
Okay.
Around here is.
Yes, we're going into a subterranean passage.
I filed that
have
under
open
cave, and I still
here,
refuse.
Chris. So this would be blessing. It's an op 3, and it lets you give a +1d to stat, skill, health, or steel for the duration of an intent, but it's only one target.
Okay. So what page is the miracles on?
524.
524. Because we can raise the ob to do more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it's on par with like purification. So like an ob 5 if you want to get everybody.
What if I just want to get the Who all is here? So Francis wasn't there for the last cave. I'm just gonna try to get Francis
Okay.
because everybody
That's
else
a
should
3.
know what to expect.
That's a 3 then.
Ha! I did a thing.
Awesome. Kiva takes you over to a cave and undoes the rocks. I imagine that Farmer Dan is starting to hesitate and slowly back away. There is not a smell coming out of this. Well, there is a smell, but it's not nearly as powerful. She will step in to see that the cave is empty as the last one was and light it. As the lighting comes up, you'll see that there's like a sepulcher in here that looks like it was probably looted from a church because it's like half burnt. There's an old musty tome on one side of the sepulcher, and then there's a second tome that's like a newer book and an inkwell next to it. There's a bunch of vials and like jars of different things that are floating around inside this place, like all over the place. And there is a drawing of a, let me find what I'm looking for real quick because I can't remember how I described it before. Here we go. There is a 5-pointed star drawn in black grease on the floor. And you can see that there's these really long, like kind of oversized needles that are on the floor. And it looks like there's some paper tags nearby. And there's been like crumpled up writings. It looks like somebody was writing something and attaching it to these pins, but was not writing it properly. So they were throwing out extras, like they were practicing for a ritual. Very clearly, this is a Source Nation circle.
I will walk up to the books.
Okay. The old musty tome is written in clean, beautiful Elven script. It seems to be an educational book, looking at it, now that you've kind of started to understand some of the alphabet. It's literally like an ABC book.
Huh.
What you've learned that they did with their spell is they didn't actually use the word for Ethaben. They spelled Ethaben with the Elven letters. So their knowledge of Elvish script is extremely poor.
Huh. I'm already learning more than they knew. Flip. What about the other book?
The newer book, it's a practice book. You can see that someone has been writing several times. This is the writing that you saw before inside the spells.
Interesting. Well, I can't tell you where a person would first start trying to learn Elven, but I can tell you that they definitely happened here. I raised up the muscular child. I was like, this is a very basic instruction for learning Elven. And it looks like someone was practicing. I tapped the other book. They're kind of crap at it.
What's the word for somebody that makes books?
Bookmaker.
I think it's just bookmaker. Yeah.
Bookmaker. Okay.
Publisher?
No.
Someone
Yeah,
who actually puts
someone that-
together books.
I was gonna
Maybe a
say,
book binder.
Binder, yeah, whatever the term would be. Does this look like it was made locally?
the new
Actually,
book?
I'm sorry. I'm not even in the cave. I apologize. Getting ahead of myself.
Dan!
I would like to check out the sepulcher. You said it looks like it was looted and brought in here.
Yeah. It's definitely from the church that was in Swordbreak Village. You recognize this sepulcher because you've actually attended services in Swordbreak Village before. Swordbreak Village got its name because it is where the original King of Men, Tomate, broke a sword as a sign of the war being over before he disappeared forever from the world. So there is a festival that is held every year where soldiers bring broken weapons and they're melted down to repurpose for other things for common folk. This village is where it would normally happen. This sepulcher is a little bit unique in the fact of the way it's designed. It's actually designed from melted down weapons. Think kind of like the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones, but a sepulcher instead of a throne.
Who was interred in it?
That would have been a priest, clericus. Give me a second here, because I need an Ethaben name. Clericus Donatello Carvalho.
Yeah. What do I know about this person?
Clericus Donatello Carvalho was a priest that, much like yourself, he traveled to the Holy Land, became a protector of the pilgrims that travel through the area. He rightly deserves saint status as one of the first people to move into the Holy Land. He was actually here during the Inquisition, during the First Inquisition, and died. But the church kind of, through political reasoning, has pushed him aside. He didn't exactly win fans back at the Holy Church City. So the patriarch never officially recognized him. Locally, he's recognized as kind of a local saint, though. Typically, people will offer prayers to him for a good harvest, or occasionally you'll hear soldiers pass prayers for protection from their weapons breaking in the field of duty, or in the line of duty, rather.
And you said he's from Ethabend? He was from Ethabend?
Yes, he was from Ethabend.
Okay. What's been done to the sepulcher?
Nothing.
They just brought it inside?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's been opened or anything.
Nope. It actually looks like it was taken care of quite well.
Nothing looks different about it from my memories.
No, it looks pretty standard. This sepulcher was actually on display. It was part of like the altar where the church, or where the patron of the church would pray to his flock. It looks like all they did was take it out of the building. There's definitely some burn marks on the outside of it, but they carried it here gently. Everything looks like it hasn't been too disturbed other than moving it.
And the church itself was destroyed?
Yes, when you were in Swordbreak Village, you would have noted that the church was burnt down. That was that half-burnt building that the dogs were cremated in.
Okay. And does it have any sort of relation to this other stuff that's around here, or is it just off on its own? Like,
unrelated, at least as far as everything looks. It looks like they were kind of using it like a desk almost for the books. But the only other thing that's really like a connection is this is a man that should have been a saint that's from Ethabend, and whoever is doing this clearly is holding a grudge against Aldhedge and the Leroux family for the sake of Ethabend.
Was there anything else from that church that a religious Ethabend person might have wanted to save, or this was like just the most? This is a
really weird thing to save. Like, in some ways it's not, because this man should be a saint, but it's kind of a weird choice. Like there was like gold and stuff inside the church that could have been looted. There's religious artifacts that every church has got at least one artifact floating around in the Holy Land. Like, this is just a strange thing to take out. They basically looted a corpse for no real reason. And not just like the corpse and whatever's inside there. Like they gingerly took his sarcophagus out and dragged it somewhere else.
Yep. Enzel's just standing in front of this thing with his hand over his beard, just itching and looking thoroughly perplexed.
Ansel, let me pull up your character sheet because there is something inside this room that you might recognize. Look at your skills real quick here. Cool. You do not have the skill. There is the writing that's by those really long needles. It's not in Elvish. Or at least, well, it is in Elvish, but you recognize the symbols because the church uses them as well.
Used how?
Or shaken.
They're not commonly used. They are like shorthand notifiers. Like typically you would see these as markers for different things. Looking at them, you can see that there's, let me just look at it here, that the characters that are represented on here, there's one that is the mark of clericus. Typically, when a clericus has been recognized by the church, you take ashes and you mark this symbol on their forehead. There's another that shows for blood, which is also used for religious ceremony. There's another one for saints, one that you can't identify, and then one that you identify as the evil one. It's kind of the way that the church writes out the devil's name without necessarily writing the devil's name. It's kind of a symbol to keep you from committing the sin of writing the devil's name, kind of thing.
And these were attached to the long needle objects?
They were kind of tossed around near the needles because you can tell that they were made with errors. Like whoever's writing this is learning how to write this, and they're not doing it well. It'd be kind of like if
they're doing it poorly.
Yeah, it'd be like if you discovered a kindergartner's homework as they're learning the ABCs, basically.
I'm going to...
Like, this is definitely an A, but that's not how you really write an A.
Okay, first, I'm going to go to where Francis is studying that book. And I'm going to see if any of the symbols overlap.
Yeah, you begin paging through the book. You can find the symbols. It looks like the symbols are borrowed symbols from the Elvish language. As far as working together with Francis, you figure out that they're letters, but they seem to have a stronger meaning as far as like what the church is concerned. Like written in letters, you have R, O, P, Q, and the number 7. Like that's what you got. It's really random.
And you said there was only one letter that I didn't recognize out of them?
Yeah, which is O out of those. And the Elvish letter O is the one that you don't recognize. What its newest meaning would be.
Okay, so is this a relatively common thing? Like a lot of these letters are repurposed, or is it just basically these few?
Now that you're looking through the Book of Elven Script, it seems like there are some letters that do get repurposed into symbols. Like they're drawn a little differently and a little bit more, like the church has changed it and adopted these things differently. Like, for example, the one for clericus. Imagine it like if you had discovered the kanji for like tree, and then like an American was like, I'm going to make this mean like goat, and I'm going to redraw it a little bit over here. Like that's kind of what's happened. Is it's been adopted and repurposed and redrawn a little bit.
It's confirmed.
All right.
Clericus meant goat.
And let's see. Marshall, do you have any idea what these needles would have been used for?
Can I roll an enchanting check for that, Chris?
Sure.
Because everything is leading to enchanting here.
Actually, no. Enchanting will not work for this. Not even like tangentially. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Really?
But if you want, you could make an untrained summoning check.
Dibs.
Failure means
Yeah.
that you might summon something.
Do it.
You know what?
Do it.
Because I was asked, and because I'm the way I've been playing this character, and yeah,
Do it.
I'm gonna make.
He just asked you what the needles are.
I'm going to figure what they are for
Yeah,
you.
I mean, to know what it is, you gotta know some summoning.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
Do it.
All right.
All right.
So
I also called for the
Chris.
farmer to come down here.
I'm
I'm
gonna
come
add
down
this
here by this point to discuss something with me.
Chris, I'm gonna add this being learned.
The moment I catch a whiff of dead bodies, I am turning around and not
It's
entering.
not really like dead bodies. It's like embalming fluid inside this one.
That's okay. That's weird.
Yeah, it's
like
embalming
it's not
fluid,
like-
and then you come in, and there's a big sarcophagus made of broken swords in the middle of the room.
I like to think that while this is going on, Francis in the book is like, I'm going to carefully look over this book and then going to look around this circle very cautiously to see what's going on. While Jeremy's character's like, I'm going to do stuff.
He's like,
I
"Oh,
was
put this
asked-
needle
what this
here,
does.
I was
blank
asked
this
to
needle
tell him what
here."
it was. There's only if I don't know what it is, I have to figure out what it is so I can tell him what it is.
Yeah.
It's
You want to take
literally
your
how-
time, or you want to just kind of do it?
Do it.
I'm doing
Marshall
it.
does not wait.
Look, I see. He was taught to do things with his hands,
Okay.
so he has to do things with his hands.
Do it.
So I just have to ask, what skill is
Do
this?
it.
Is summoning based on? Is it will?
Yes, it's will.
All right. Because I'm adding it to my being learned.
Totally fine.
All right. I can't fork anything into this, can I?
No, because you're learning it.
Damn. What's the obstacle?
That depends. What are you trying to do? Are you just trying to learn what it does, or are you trying to actually like be like, let's fucking do this and actually cause the summon to happen?
He asked me what it was,
Do it.
but since
I
the
asked the question because I think it's fair to ask your character this
So,
question.
I'm telling you this, I'm taking it since it's obviously not enchanting, but I'm figuring it probably is. I figure it's probably the character Marshall figures it's probably close to enchanting, and the only way to truly understand enchanting is to use it.
Okay.
You can't really know if something's enchanted or not easily without really doing
Do
it.
it.
Okay.
So he's kind of doing it
Fucking do it.
more accidentally than not because of he doesn't understand that it's enchanting doesn't generally summon things. This is a new experience.
Do it.
Actually, I take that back. It is an ob 5 for this, which is going to get doubled because you're learning it. There's no way you're ever going to succeed.
Do it.
I feel like failing a summoning can go just as horribly wrong.
It absolutely can.
Hold on.
Well, he has to do it now. He knows the ob.
It's additional complications. That's in the role. Are there additional complications?
Yeah, you're bad at this. Go.
No, there's no additional complications. There's just the failure result. So,
3 successes out of 10.
that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Well, I kind of
Not
have
good.
decent will.
That means that you succeeded on all 3 of the dice that you rolled, so not bad. Unfortunately, like I said, your op got doubled to 10. So, let's see. You begin by kind of like picking up the needles and the scraps of paper, and you figure out which needles belong to which scraps of paper and which points of the star they should go, or at least generally where the needles should go.
The way I see myself doing it is I'm just kind of absentmindedly following the instructions on it, just trying to figure out, because I can't know if I don't put it all together.
Yeah, and once you put it together, you end up with these needles kind of like pressed into the dirt. And there's one that if you were to describe this as like a person laying down in the middle of this star shape, because it's about person sized, there's one in the middle where like the belly button would be. There's another one just a little bit further up, like towards the heart. And then there's one where the person's head would be. You're not really sure where it would be stuck into, but it's definitely there. There's a second one that's just a little bit higher up from that, still in the head. And then the last one is where a hand would be. And after kind of getting all the points in, you kind of realize that this follows where like a human body would be. The hand points towards the south that has the needle in it, or southwest rather. You kind of start going over it, and there's like this strange energy in the air, and you can feel that when you place the last needle that something is being called forward. Everybody here, I need to make a test real quick.
Do it.
I need to see what exactly gets summoned, because there's a few things that can happen here.
Yes, do it.
So let me know when I kind of like slowly walk in. Because he's like, as soon as he catches like embalming fluid, he takes that deep breath again. And
Hi,
then he starts
Mason.
to say,
Hi, Ansel. Hi, Marshall. Hi, Demon. Oh, wait, bye.
Fucking do it. Do it.
he sings like an old church song from when he was a kid or something like that, like from the choir or some shit.
Yeah, you see this and you start singing, and then all of a sudden, it's like your voice is taken away from you.
I want it to be a fucking Baylor.
There's
That's the shit I want to unleash.
Okay.
there's
Chris, don't smile at me.
there's a song in the air, and it's haunting, especially to two people in the cave. Mason and Kiva automatically hesitate. There is no steel test involved in this. This is a war song that the elves sing. They fascinate people, basically causing them to lose their will to fight and murder them in the jungles. You both have experienced it, Mason more than anyone else. It fills the cave. Yes. And there is a hand that's black with ebony nails that comes up out of the floor. The
Do
rest
I
of
see
you,
this?
there's a fucking hand coming out of the floor, and there's some weird spiritual ghost singing going on.
Okay. So
You guys don't hesitate because it hasn't come out of the portal yet.
all right. So I've been studying the book. I turn around and see this nonsense going behind me.
You're like, I was just learning the ABCs. How did we get here?
I think the steps have been skipped. All right.
Steps have been skipped.
You forgot the candles. You didn't do the hand
So how
thing.
you put dark elf demon thing? No, all dark elves are like this. This. He's summoning a dark elf.
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm
very
aware.
clear to you.
Yeah. I'm like, oh God.
So I'm going to instantly ask myself, how do I make this stop?
It's a summon. If you break the circle, it will stop the summon. That's pretty common knowledge.
All right.
Like,
I'm going to break the circle because, like,
I want to stop him. I want it to keep coming out.
Too bad you're hesitating.
Yeah, you are hesitating. You won't be able to stop him. This is like pure. You're seeing what you expected or what you feared to happen coming true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make it over to the circle and you kick over one of the needles. The circle immediately stops, and you hear this sound that kind of sounds like water rushing down a drain as it like just finishes draining off, and then there's that slurp sound. The elf hand that's sticking out gets severed and is left behind.
Whose fault is that? Hmm? Hmm?
In game. Oh God, we're all gonna die.
Well, not immediately, but eventually, yes.
You don't get it. None of you get it. You fought the regular hoity-toity elves. You didn't just summon a regular hoity-toity elf. You summoned one from my world.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say summoned, at least not entirely. Gently kick the hand.
Hey, whoa. Don't take it out on the hand.
Finish it. Finish the summoning.
Why?
If we don't show people evidence, they won't believe us.
There's an elf hand.
Let me ask you a question. Before 2 minutes ago, did you believe that that would be an elf hand or just some severed hand with necrotic with rot?
Elf hand.
It to give you an idea, this hand has 4 fingers. Well, 3 fingers and a thumb. Because I like the way Dragon Prince made their elves. And it has like talon-like nails on it. It is very clearly not human.
But it's not connected to an elf.
That is true.
All right.
You said this place smelled of embalming fluid. Is there embalming fluid?
That is good questions.
Technically, yeah. There's formaldehyde in here.
I would also like to help taxidermy this hand.
Yeah, look, we can either taxidermy or alchemize this hand into reagents for enchanting. So we're gonna keep it.
Yes.
Is there actually any hint of what they were embalming?
I was trying to bring that up, Scott.
Yeah. The corpse in the sarcophagus or in the sepulcher.
Oh, so it has been opened?
The smell of the embalming fluid is on the sepulcher itself. That is the only thing in here that would have embalming fluid is the corpse inside that thing. It has not been opened.
Oh.
So if you guys want to desecrate a possible saint,
hold on.
To get it,
as you guys say that, I'm going to turn and go, oh God, we need to open the sepulcher.
How about this? I'll do it. I'm the non-religious guy here.
We need to make sure they didn't desecrate it.
All right.
Oh God, they could have desecrated it.
I go to open it up, Chris.
Everybody else stand back. I shield, Kiva and I just right up front.
The body is missing.
Is it at least a finally made sepulcher?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They went to the trouble to reseal it after the body was removed.
At least they cared for the right thing.
Trixie elves. Now we do need to. Now we really need to summon an elf because we need to kill it, or we need to trap it.
Hold on. Do you need all of its body parts?
We need it to be alive.
That's not a no.
We need to ask it what happened to, if it knows anything. And we need it to be alive to convince people that the threat is real. That we haven't finished the war.
All right. So I'll tell you how at least I got to the point where it came out.
I don't care how you did it. I want you to do it again. I look at the farmer.
He's literally like ass on the ground, back against like a wall of the cave, just stark white.
I toss him a dagger.
He doesn't even react.
Yeah.
It just hits the ground next to him, and he's just like staring, completely terrified at just what just happened. Like, he's familiar with magic, but he's so far removed from it that it's kind of fairy tale-esque. Like, enchanting is about as far as he'd really have any experience knowing about. He just saw like a black demon hand crawl its way out of the ground and try to wrench itself free until somebody stopped it, and then it was severed, and I assume it's like twitching and writhing on the ground.
It did for a few seconds.
All right.
So you go to reset it up. Unfortunately, your failure means you cannot reproduce the results.
I will try again.
It's what's called let it ride. You're not going to get another chance to roll this until the situation changes. So for now, unless we introduce something new that would change what's going on here, you're not going to be able to summon this thing again.
I'm going to look at Tom's character.
I don't think he knows anything about this as well.
It's the same regardless. Like, the two of you, even working together, you cannot figure out a way to get it to work. Like, you're doing everything exactly the same, and it's just not working for some reason.
How about this, Mason? Give me some time. I'll see if I can recreate the process.
It took you 5 hours to identify that spell, right?
2.5.
It took him 2.5. And now that now that I have a whole book of learning Elvish, I'll teach myself Elvish, and I'll figure it out.
Elvish for dummies, except dummies is written as the word humans.
How long is it going to take you to figure out how to do this?
Well, when I learned Dorvish, it took me about 2 years. Then again, they have a lot of weirdness in it. I figured I will cut that time at least in half.
Francis?
I have a rudimentary grasp on the basics of the language as it is. To be sure, I know what I'm doing. 3 days.
I'll help. We'll cut it down to 2.5 days.
Abbott?
Hey, Abbott.
Hey, Abbott.
Brennan?
Yeah. He is very deep in thought. He hasn't been paying attention to what you've been saying. He's eyeing the empty sepulcher, trying to reason what they could be planning to do with it, with the body.
Maybe the same thing I'm going to do with the hand of this elf.
Abbott, we now know for sure elves are involved somehow. They have one of ours. There's no telling the evil they could do with that body. This is the only way. I need you to sign off on it. We can't do something like this without the okay.
You want to summon one of those things?
I've never killed one, but I know they can be killed. Yeah. I think we need to summon one to find out what the plans were.
If we distract ourselves with this for 3 days, the humans who did this will be harder to find.
No. He's going to distract himself for 3 days. The rest of us will continue our investigation to the humans that did this.
Chris, there was mention of desecration of saints' remains before as part of the war crimes. What were those again?
That was Saint Soline. Let me find the thing here again.
Who the fuck is Saint Celine? Fuck that bitch. She's a hoe.
No,
There
you
we go.
owe.
The funeral of Saint Celine Thomas of Aldhedge was interrupted by an assault.
Do we know anything about what happened or what happened to her remains?
No, no one's looked into it.
And
You guys
where
got
was
word
this?
from the Duke, Simon Leroux, that he was good friends with her, which you guys immediately found out he was a liar. But that was one of his complaints.
And where was that?
You know that it was just outside of Swordbrain Village where that happened.
Well, guess what we're looking into next. And do you think your faithful companions could track the scent of this embalming fluid?
I'm sure they could. It's pretty unique up top.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we might be heading in that direction.
Ladybird is especially good at it, with unique scents. I decided to name my puppy after the hills.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you guys want to... How do you want to handle this? Because we are close to time, but I want to be able to prepare for the next session. It sounds like there's interest in the death site of St. Celine, where the funeral happened and got interrupted. You guys are also interested in finding the humans that are behind this, which means possibly tracking down the embalming stuff. And then there is the meetup that was supposed to happen between all investigation teams over at the town of Lannercost.
Does anyone have anything else?
I mean, Mason's opinion is this is far more important than any crimes that Etherbend or Aldeban did to each other. And yet, they may still be involved considering the script we found.
Yep.
True. We got some pretty nasty signs pointing towards the son of the Duke of Etherbend.
But we also got signs pointing in both... We got signs pointing in both directions still.
Yeah,
so.
you've got a lot of the war crimes, like legit war crimes, pointing at Aldhedge, and now you've got crazy elf magics possibly pointing at Etherbend.
Right.
Everybody done fucked up. Everybody's at fault for some reason.
And Farmer Dan is just sitting there going,
That's
"Oh my
how
God,
really
I don't know
goes,
what to do."
What is the what's the name of the masked knight, or is that all I know him by?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What is the name of the masked knight, or is that all I know him by?
You know him by his name. It's Lord Knight Marcos de Alcedo.
Marcos Diaz. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember
If you look over
Sebastian?
Palace at Fort,
I remember.
he's underneath there.
Yep.
And how far away is he?
He's about a day's travel away, because Hollister Fort's a little bit of a journey.
So, I think for sure we need Francis here. Or Francis investigating this. I think that...
I was gonna also help investigate the. I was gonna join Francis and help investigate the summoning problem. I think that's mostly because out of everybody in the group, me and him have the most knowledge with the arcane, any kind of arcane like magics.
I think we send Kiva forward to inform the group, or inform the people that will be not making that rendezvous, that we're 3 days out preparing or 4 days out preparing new evidence.
Okay, so Kiva will go to the Lannercost meeting.
I'm proposing this.
Okay.
I think the problem is the other two things that we need to do compared to the rendezvous are more important and they could take longer. So automatically, I just agree with that part.
And then the abbot and I Could we view
You
the
guys could go to
battlefield?
the death site really easily. It's just outside of town. So
Yeah, we can go to the death field. And then there was another thing, track the humans.
Track the humans who may have who doing these cave things.
Hmm.
Do we know Abbott? We can track them and then double back for the damage to the battlefield isn't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now it's the whole.
I look at the farmer.
tracking.
Farmer, do you have any relevant skills to this?
We need to see the masked knight.
Okay, that's great.
He's the only one in the area that knows anything about this.
About what?
All the stories about him, they have to be true. With
What?
everything else that's come up lately.
What
He
stories?
knows about the elves.
I lived with elves.
Great. So did he. And he lived locally. You lived off in the crevices.
I'll assume that your
all
description
it
of my
takes is
homeland.
one severed elf hand, and everybody believes your story.
Yeah. Let's. If you wish to go seek him out, seek him out. Any other thoughts? Out of game. Any other thoughts?
That's kind of your 4 directions right now. I could see you logically going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Split the party.
Kinda, yeah.
I was gonna say that's fine. I mean, it's an investigation game. You guys have played this with me. Usually, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I'm good with it. So Brennan and I will follow the what's it called? The embalming fluid, and then double back on the battlefield. Yay or nay, Brendan?
That sounds good.
Those two will check the summoning, and Nate will, in Mason's mind, be out of the way. Because he's going to go do.
He's expecting the whole mask guy thing to be just stupid and whatever.
Folly,
But
yeah,
it's
complete
also,
folly.
it's also keeping you out of the way.
It's keeping me occupied.
But
Honestly, like,
I want you to actually go somewhere with it, somewhere real.
yeah, honestly, like, at a
actually
game that's like, he's just latching onto the first thing he can associate with this, just to keep him focused away from the horrors that he's seen in the last 3.5 hours. He just needs to do something.
And I think it goes without saying that we keep our mouth shut about what we've seen and what's going on at the moment.
As if
And-
anyone would believe us.
The right person will, because they already know this. Kiva, please try to replace the rocks as you found them.
Of course.
And what are we doing with the evidence?
Which evidence?
Well, do we try to keep everything as it was inside, including the book and all that evidence, and also the deal of the...
Oh no, I'm
Oh,
taking.
no,
the
they
hand.
already took that.
Okay,
We're taking the
that's what
hand.
they're studying. Okay.
I'm taking the hand. Francis is
Yeah.
joining me with the
It
hand.
might get ground up into enchanting powders.
I need elves are known to be magical. I need magical reagents to make things whatever. So
Because if we leave these things behind,
Hello,
they might return here and dispose of them.
I'll tell you this.
Uh,
I'll tell you this. As much as it might reveal that someone has discovered this cave, that we have been in this cave, or at least someone has. Do we really want to leave this book that
No.
teaches Elvish?
Take it.
We are only. I mean, me and Francis are only going to learn for the sake of necessity, not actually because we want to. I mean, I do want to, but that's not the real point.
Well, you say that, but if things are going the way Mason thinks they are, then I think having a much more solid grasp of the Elven language will help us in the future.
Which is why I'm trying to learn it.
Yes.
Still heart.
I'm here.
I have an item.
Me too.
A heart.
I mean, I have one technically.
A dragon's heart. You're a
Huh.
dwarf smith, are you not?
I'm not going to deny what you just said. Yes.
So, can you or can you not?
Never actually made one before. I was only partially. I'm.
Are these things like well known through the world that everybody knows what I'm talking about right now?
What a dragon heart is used for? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Especially when you mentioned Dragonheart and called me a dwarf smith.
Yeah.
I mean-
No, I didn't know if the levity of like, okay, this is serious is there,
Yeah.
or if
You
it's just
basically
like,
I'd say
said
the
out
common.
loud, hey, let's build a mecha.
I'd say the common person understands that they exist, and hey, probably has even seen one in the distance at best. But
if we're gonna fight
Beyond
these
that.
elves again, we're gonna need the weapons of our forebearers.
where is the heart? No, don't tell me. I'll get distracted. Well, later.
I just need to know if you can.
I'll tell you the truth. I've never made one.
Neither
But
did the first myth before they did. Do you have the fundamental knowledge necessary to create one?
I have the basis. I can learn more as I go.
So a
I
little
know
bit
where to
about
learn it.
a little
That's
bit
what
real
really
quick
matters.
about the game system, just so you're aware. Because you have a relationship with your mentor, you can always call your mentor to help you build this thing too.
I know. That's why I'm pointing out that
Yeah.
even if I don't know the knowledge, I have access to it. One key.
Farmer.
Yeah.
Yes, he's actually holding the dagger now. He's standing up. He's like brushing himself off.
Your lands, when do they need to be tended again?
They don't. I've left them in good hands.
You seem to have a fair bit of luck around you. If we should fail, and my absolute worst fear comes that in summoning an elf, we also summon its beast. And we are stopped immediately. Someone will need to warn the masses what has happened. That they have the bodies of two saints, access to elven magic, and a way to summon the elves. I don't want to cause a mass panic yet, but that is my worst fear. Do you understand?
I do. Better than you think. I can spread word if necessary.
Only upon our deaths.
If necessary. He says that like in agreement with what you're saying. As in, your deaths are the only thing that would make it necessary.
Then for Tomate. Or Tomati.
Well, you say Tomati.
All right. I will close it up here. I'm going to award you guys your Artha points on my own because it is past midnight and I want to get Tom on the road because it's usually when we break. Plus, I got work tomorrow, so I got a break here too. So, for everybody that tuned in and watched after that, because we had no viewers tonight, thanks for that.
Fuck you!
I know it's a little odd. Usually we've got at least one or two, but Thursday nights are not the busiest night for viewing. I know that.
No
But
one
it
loves
would be
you.
the best
You're
night
all
for us to
adopted.
play.
Except for those people that are actually adopted, you were loved.
And adopted.
Well, they were adopted because they were loved. Or
Yeah.
abused.
For
now
everybody
left,
that tuned
hopefully.
in, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the gaming table.
I hate you all.